Hello there. Welcome back to part two of our heart message. It took me a while to chew on this message, but after a few days, we are ready to do part two. There's only two parts to this segment. So, this particular part two is accompanied with our garnet stone. Garnet stones are usually good to bring or to heighten vitality and creativity, also passion as well. And this stone will be accompanying our message. So, garnet is really a stone that energizes and regenerates all of the chakras in the body. It actually stimulates, the metabolism, and it also helps the assimilation of vitamins and minerals within the body as well. This stone enhances, again, passion, enthusiasm, creativity, like in all areas of life. It also balances our sex drive. It alleviates emotional disharmony and enhances love between partners. This stone also has a strong connection to the pituitary gland, also known as the third eye, and is also known to aid in past life recall as well. So this stone will actually aid us in our reading today. And for our first card, we have the deer. And the deer brings the energy of compassion. If you can see that. The message through the deer is to accept everything as it is, and to find compassion through it all in every situation, especially the one that you could find yourself in right now at this moment. As you can see, this card has various hues of red, orange, yellow, green as well. And so green is actually the color for the heart chakra. This is definitely tapping into that particular chakra. And I also pulled another card as well. I intended to only pull one, but two came out. I feel like concerning this particular message, we're also tapping into the throat chakra. And I guess we'll see how that connects with the overall message through the heart, the throat chakra. And this particular oracle card is asking or pointing to the need to find a way, find an opening for your voice or expression, right? So we'll find out how that connects in with the overall message. And so let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to start off with my deer card. Accept everything as it is and find compassion for all in this situation. And so as we tap into the heart energy, we're talking about compassion and how it is reflected in our understanding of the heart. And as we know, we are empathic beings, and we have the ability to sense the suffering and the strife within ourselves and within others as well. Sometimes it's even hard to separate what it is that we're feeling from the ones that we're perceiving outside of ourselves. And we have to actually implement practice through compassion so that we can have that better understanding without having the need to take on those emotions outside of ourselves as our own. The deer here in our first card is actually one of the symbols in the natural world that actually points to this energy or this example of compassion. Deers actually represent the energy of innocence and gentleness and also compassion in nature. When we talk about the path or the actual existence of the deer, even in relation to their young, there's this tending and this patience that happens as they actually nurture their own line of existence with their young. And it's a sensitivity that is a very much desired quality that we look at as being something that's very much needed within our existence as humans as well. There's like this tapping in of the young with the older deer when there is a need, right? There's a high level of compassion with the tending of the older to the young in the deer family, or how they would care for their young. There's this high level of compassion and sensing between the generations that would come after them, and as they would care for their young. And so I feel like this is coming out, definitely talking about heart energy. And it's finding that type of compassion, right, in the heart area. And so this is the energy that's coming out here. And this could very much be something that you already have within you. It could definitely be something that you already experience within how you interact with those around you. Not only talking about your own young, your own family, but this, I'm sensing this is just an overall energy of how it is that you relate, how you connect. You have this deep sense of connection with all those around you, sometimes even to a fault. As I said before, there's that energy of being able to sense, pain or suffering, and having a difficult time differentiating your own from that which is outside of you. But in all, it's a very beautiful energy, or a very beautiful capacity to have within your heart space. Yeah. And so it's pointing to that as a quality. It's a quality. It's not a weakness. It's a quality that you have, and it very well may be aligned with what it is that you have been called to do. And it's something that actually assists in building grace, building the sense of never-ending grace. And there's a difference between being supportive and trying to fix others, right? I'm hearing that as well. Grace is, picture it as the gentleness that the deer who tends to its young, that's kind of expressed there. Picture it in that way, right? And leading them to a place of being self-sufficient or more capable, right? Not necessarily taking on the weight of the responsibility of their young, but it's a grace and a compassion that understands as they are coming along, right? And so it's this kind of energy, I feel like, that's being exemplified in this particular reading. And so that's the first energy that's coming out here, the energy of compassion, exemplified in the deer. The second energy, of course, which was a surprise when the second card fell out, I felt a calling. Spirit said, go ahead and take that. So I feel like it definitely has something to do with this message here. This is the throat chakra. Brings in the energy of spaciousness, openness, finding the openness of your voice and your expression. This is actually, excuse me, the fifth energy center known as, of course, the throat chakra. It sits in the center of our throat area. And this energy brings in purification. Yeah, purification around that. It also is connected to our sense of hearing and communication through what it is that we're saying through our speech and other forms of expression as well. This is where the throat is. This is where we begin to bring our earthly experiences up through the heart space and speak from them into the world. So it's speaking from the heart space through our experiences. Definitely communication is involved here, which is relaying something out into the world and having it being received by someone or something else. There's two parts to that communication. And communication actually can be a very powerful gateway to realizing all of the hope that we manifest. I feel like it has a lot to do with the power behind speaking things into existence. And because of that, it's important to keep this area as clear as possible so that we can speak our truth, so that we can speak things that are going to be manifested and be useful, right? And purposeful. And we talked about this openness within the heart, but this is also an openness here as well in this area of communication, the area of the heart being connected to our throat chakra. And this brings the energy of an expansion right here. It's almost like the vastness of the sky, right? Where possibilities are endless. So there's some connection here between the throat chakra and the heart chakra. Yeah. And the throat chakra is actually represented by openness, vastness, space, the ethers, you know. In the elemental realm, space is the container where all the other elements come to form our reality, right? And so this points to a very special place that's stored up for something specific. And so it's the container that houses, you know, the energy that brings things into fruition. Now I understand why it says, you know, how important the tongue is. You know, it's a small thing, but it has the power of large ships to steer our course of life, right? And so from the throat chakra, I feel like the message here is about your power in your authentic voice and the opportunities, the rights, and the rights that you have as it pertains to expressing yourself, as it pertains to your form of truth. And this could be, you know, concerning things where you've held yourself back or swallowed, you know, what it is that you were given to speak for fear of judgment or criticism of some kind. It also could be being called to higher levels of creativity and expression. You know, however that translates or resonates with you, it's pointing to the understanding that this energy center is vital It's vital for all artists and all teachers, as it's the place where our words, our music, the writings, the dance, any form of art really become form. And if for some reason there is a challenge to speak how you really feel, to speak your honest truth to others, then there's ways around that. I feel like this is pointing to getting over possibly some type of hurdle when it comes to speaking your truth. There may be a need to write in a journal or where you can freely express. That would be like a smaller step that would lead to bigger, a bigger task if you've been given a huge task that you're struggling with. And as you begin to open up your throat center, this is going to give you a greater access or higher levels of creative development as well. And so this calls in the energy of really being tapped in, really being tapped into what it is that you're manifesting and how you want to communicate that out to the world. And it also brings in the energy of openness, feeling the freedom that fills you as you do so. And so it's necessary to understand as well that it's within the throat chakra where our higher ego sits. This is actually a part of our personality, and it could be challenging if parts of our ego are being called to be released and we're trying to hold on to it or protect it or control the way it's being construed or relayed. But this is a call to soften the expression that's being translated. Soften it with light, soften it with that compassion, right? As you fill the world with what it is that you have to offer. Yeah, it's doing what you do with a sense of authenticity, but also with light as well. And so these are the two cards that the reading is based on. Let's go ahead and move these over here. Compassion and expression. So next I want to take a look into specifically what areas of life we're dealing with when we talk about having this level of compassion and then also being free to explore this openness when it comes to the expression and your voice. And so I did pull a few cards there. The first card I pulled is in your third house. So in the third house is actually the area of rational, logical mind and rules speaking. It's almost like the things that you like to learn, like sources that you pull information from, like the internet or computers, texting, phones. It's actually technology. I feel like it's a lot of technology energy coming here. Phones, texting, like, and what you're interested in talking about. This is actually where curiosity and that sense of wonder are born. It's exploring the how and why things work, It's where that question becomes of interest to you. So this is like beginning the process of like looking at and seeing how everything is interconnected, and it's dealing with communication skills, right? And understanding the fact that there is a connection between you and others. This is actually, the third house talks about close connections too, as opposed to the ninth house. The ninth house talks about possibly traveling, international connections. This is close connections. This is neighborhood, siblings, cousins, aunts, or people that would be close to you in that way. And so this is talking about communication, right? And spiritually, it's important to focus on making the right communications, right? It's focused on spiritually connecting to the right things, to the right people. On a mental level, this is questions, right? It could be talking about wondering how things are connected or why, what purpose it serves, how it connects. And then physically, this is moving forward with those ideas once you come to clarity of it, right? And how your inputs or how you want to affect it. It's getting your ideas going out in the world once you draw this information in, what you want to do with it, right? It's pushing your ideas out there. For the third house, I feel like that's how that's connecting right now in this energy. I also pulled Saturn as well. And Saturn is, I feel like, is bringing in the energy of, so Saturn is known to be labeled as things like the taskmaster, like the drill sergeant or the mentor. You know, Saturn carries the sign of Capricorn. This is actually associated with the 10th house. But overall, I feel like Saturn is bringing in the energy of accountability, is what I'm feeling with Saturn. It's bringing the energy of reliability, discipline, dependability. It's very authoritative, but it's bringing the accountability to the situation and focus and concentration. Yeah. And so where Jupiter, Saturn and Jupiter are actually two social planets, and they actually work together in complementary ways. But where Jupiter wants to constantly grow and expand, Jupiter is more in Sagittarian sign energy, where Jupiter wants to constantly grow and expand and learn more and get more energy and push the limits, right? Saturn sets the limits, and Saturn deals with restrictions and restraints that are necessary to maintain the system, right? Whereas Jupiter approaches situations optimistically, Saturn looks through the lens very coldly and almost very harshly, with a sense of reality. Even leaning in with a little bit of pessimism, right? And so Saturn brings in that energy of the taskmaster, making sure things are getting done, always reminding you of what you should have done or what you should do. You know, it gives us a sense of social responsibility and actually shows us a way of finding security in the world through utilizing the rules and the social protocols or commitments that we've made and responsibilities that we've been given around duties, right? And Saturn calls for bringing order and organization wherever it's placed in your chart. But I feel like this is the energy here. It's bringing in that type of structure to what otherwise could be considered just this limitless potential without any type of restriction or structure, right? It's bringing in some type of form or guidance to what is being opened up here or realized. And then lastly, and that was the planet of Saturn bringing in that energy. And then for the sign we have Pisces. Very interesting, because Pisces is actually known to be one of the water signs, which brings in the energy of emotion, which is very much in alignment with what we're talking about. Let's see. And so with Pisces, Pisces brings in the energy. I feel like Pisces fits in here just perfectly, because Pisces is actually one of the final signs in the zodiac line. And Pisces represents like an accumulation of all of the other signs. Sometimes Pisces struggle with boundaries. And it's as a result of the sensitivity that Pisces carries. There's like this connectedness beyond boundaries. And so Pisces is always sacrificing their own needs for the others. And it's almost like a form of spiritual service for Pisces. And so I feel like Pisces fits perfectly here, especially right next to Saturn, which brings in that level of boundaries and making sure that everything is in order and everything is balanced. And there's certain restrictions set up for protection and for the sake of the actual mission and the effectiveness of what is taking place. And I feel like Pisces comes up because this could definitely be part of what could need to be addressed. You know, Pisces individuals discover themselves like through diving deep into their emotional relationships with others. They're a mutable sign, and that makes them extremely adaptable and versatile. And often they create a life path that is like a culmination of many different beliefs and interests. And it also makes it very difficult to really pin a specific description on their characteristics because they're so versatile like that. But they do carry this very vivid imagination that's can be expressed through the arts, some type of dream work or compassionate service to others. So I feel like this energy here could be very significant. And so with Pisces, there's a need to understand and to bring together all of the experiences under an all-encompassing belief or faith. And so with that, Pisces have an exceptional ability to be compassionate and tolerant of all the other signs. And there's a tendency for Pisces to be like to side with the underdog as well, you know, because of this great level of compassion, which in several different ways can lead to this martyr type approach to life. Pisces tends to be the most sensitive of the signs, and that's usually shown in the way that they respond to the world and the harshness that's usually demonstrated in the world, right? And so I feel like this energy that Pisces brings spiritually, it's looking at what it is that you desire, looking at your dreams spiritually. On a mental level, it's bringing that right, into the greater understanding of what that means. It's the idealization of it. And then when we get down to the physical level, it's the need to be a part of something overwhelming. So it's connecting outside of yourself, but actually with Saturn here, it's still maintaining a sense, not losing yourself, right? As you're connecting outside of yourself, it's not losing yourself in that process. And so I feel like those are the getting a little bit more specific on what areas of life we're talking about here as we're delving into the heart space. It's very dealing with communication, dealing with connection, also maintaining a safe sense of boundaries and not losing the foundational structure that these ideas and these ways of connecting are lending on, right? But also respecting and honoring that part of yourself that's very significant here, that's very needed in this particular time in the world. And so let's get some more energies here as we delve into more of our cards. And so we have the Metal King, which actually is bringing back that energy. I'm going to put that on Saturn because it's talking about discipline and armor. It's talking about boundaries, right? Not losing yourself. The Metal King talks about being in a space and being aware of the dangers that exist. Though there's this level of softness that resides on the inside, it's also being shielded from the dangers, because when you exist in this very soft space, not only are you attracting those that have been called to you, those that may very well need what it is that you are able to give, right? You're also attracting other energies as well that would come to usurp or just to kind of drain that energy. Have you ever heard of a energy vampire? Terms like that, right? And so the Metal King brings in, I'm putting that by Saturn because it aligns with that energy for me. It brings in that energy of discipline, a level of armor or protection, or setting a certain level of boundaries. And then we also have the Desert Prince as well. And the Desert Prince brings in the energy of this resiliency. I feel like that's the energy I'm getting with the Desert Prince, this energy of resiliency. Even being in a place where there is not a lot of sustained life, it's understanding that you have reserve or resources that will in fact sustain you. It's talking about the energy of survival around false promises. It's looking out into the desert and not seeing any water. It's like, well, how can I grow as a plant, right? But it's understanding that there is a reserve. There's a special level of provision. Even though you may not see it, it's stepping into an energy of faith in that way, is the energy that the Desert Prince brings in here. Yeah. And then lastly, we have the Eyes of Beauty. And the Eyes of Beauty brings in a very positive energy around expectation and clarity. It's amazing how these aligned when I pulled these, right? I did pull them to save time because you guys know I can be very long-winded, but the cards always align, and it just embellishes more on the message that's being construed. But the Eyes of Beauty is talking about this very positive energy around expectation and clarity. It's understanding like how you're looking out into the world has an effect on what it is that you're seeing, right? It's not necessarily what you're seeing that's the truth, but it's how you're looking at it. The eyes of beauty is talking about your perception and the necessity to really understand that you have a level of control over what you're seeing and how you're seeing it. And in fact, what you're seeing and how you're seeing it has everything to do with what's showing up, right? Positive expectations, right? It has everything to do with what's showing up. It's almost like the energy of manifestation. There's a level of having this sense of mental clarity and mental control over what it is that you're seeing, even before it actually materializes in the physical, right? It's understanding that part of that process is seeing things in the way that you expect them to result, right? It's that kind of energy. And so how you're looking at things has everything to do with how things are turning out, or what's showing up in your reality. And it's having clarity around what it is that you want first and foremost, so that you can develop or cultivate the correct perspective around what it is that you're expecting to show up, right? The eyes of beauty. And I do feel like there is an energy of, I keep hearing, through all of the areas that we're pulling out here, this energy of creativity. So there's something, I feel like there's definitely something that's being cultivated here. But it's important to understand the heart space in all of this and the important part that that plays in the cultivating of this, or the growing of this, or the stepping in to this energy, or even realizing what's already there, and the importance of understanding how it works, right? And how it is connected to everything. Remember, we talked about the heart being the center point of existence, and how out of it flows the issues of life, right? How everything is interconnected to the heart. How we're seeing things, right? Understanding how everything is connected. Understanding what it is within us and how we are, piecing things together, how we're operating in that, and what's needed to operate within that effectively. It all comes together. But it starts from the heart. And our next, I'm going to push these up because we have some more cards coming out here. Out of the heart flows the issues of life, be it good or bad. So there's a need to work really diligently, work really hard on understanding your heart, and focusing on healing, because there's a very important part that, that's coming from within the heart and how you're perceiving things, right? There's a very important part of life that is born from that energy that's pouring out of your heart. And so that is really one of the reasons why it's so important to understand and to have a level, not control. Control is not a good word, but have a good understanding and connection with yourself, right? As it pertains to your heart. because you may find that there are some things that you're not necessarily sure how it actually came to be. Well, it may very well have something to do with, things brewing in your heart, unaware, things that you didn't even realize, right? But they're there. Yes, pain, envy, jealousy, as well as love, creativity, inspiration, right? All of those things could very well be brewing in your heart and you not know it. Well, whatever's brewing in your heart is actually going to find a way to be born. It's going to find a way to show up in life, right? And so our next cards that came out were willing release. That's a segue into this next section. Is willing release, great and full, and a deep breath. All right, and so we have willing release here. And so with willing release, I feel like this particular card is talking about being able to yield to the divine plan, like releasing any type of attachments to form, especially if something isn't like what you actually anticipated or what you expected or wanted. It's being able to really leave room for like serendipity, I feel like some days you find yourself needing to let go of that struggle or that sense of striving, right? To have to find an answer. And rather than that, choosing to focus on other things, even if for a little while, it doesn't mean that you just completely give up or altogether feeling like you've lost anything, Remember that we're actually in a position where we're able to co-create with the divine, in partnership with the creator, with God, with source, with Allah. There's this level of give and take that's happening, that's necessary. And so sometimes our plight, our part is setting our intentions and taking any necessary actions, but then surrendering everything else. What it's going to turn out to be, the timing that it'll happen, how it'll actually transcend, surrendering that to our higher power. It's understanding that there is, in fact, a divine plan for each of us, right? When it comes to the things of the heart and what we are working through, bringing into the world and how that's showing up. There's a divine plan for all of us. And when we're acting in trust, sometimes we find that we have an intense desire for something that actually translate into a feeling of attachment or entitlement, But I feel like right now is the time to like really immerse in the experience and just allow the plan, the divine plan, to unfold as it will, however that happens, without any interference or any need to control any part of that. And it's being open to receive like what's yours, even if it doesn't show up in a package that you thought you wanted, right? It's being open to receive it because we only know in part. Like we don't have the whole picture. We don't have the whole description of details on how things will work out. And so we only see in part. So part of what we're allowing to unfold, we're we're allowing in trust, we're allowing in faith that whatever that will end up being is going to be perfect for us. And as you look back, or as you look a little bit deeper, maybe you will see that actually you've already in many ways reached a perfect place, or if I could say a perfect vibrational match, to your most authentic wants and needs. And when I say authentic, I mean this is not something that you can look around and see. This is not comparing yourself to the Joneses, And this is something that's authentically a match to what it is that you want or what it is that you need. And it's very personal. It's very authentic to you. The question is, I feel in this, is asking if you have actually put in the work by defining what it is that you desire and what you felt deeply in your heart. And if you've actually engaged with your higher power once you felt that or knew that. And once you do that, then there's a letting go. And sitting back and seeing what actually happens, what transpires, which isn't always easy. It's not easy. I feel like, this could happen. You could see that transpire in a month. But what if it happens like in 20 or 30 years? Sometimes impatience can erode the foundations of our faith or of our trust in the divine, but it's remembering to trust in that way. And the fact that we can trust that's going to serve our highest good, right? And knowing the truth in your heart, right, is the most difficult part. But this is what's being called here. Know the truth in your heart space and trust, okay? Trust in the divine on your behalf. And then we have the energy of great and full. And the energy of great and full, I feel like calls in the mindful practice of gratitude, great and full. It calls in the mindful practice of just being grateful, knowing that you are enough, and committing to your own intentions, right? That sense of sufficiency, knowing that you are enough, and just letting go of attachment to form. Again, what we just talked about, but it's doing that with a sense of gratitude and gratefulness. Before even understanding the process of manifesting what it is that you want, there's the need to practice deep gratitude, because even if you were to get what you want, if you don't sit in a place of gratitude, there's not going to be a level of appreciation or satisfaction, right? It's being grateful and appreciative and taking responsibility for what you already have before you can actually hit the next level of what's coming and still maintain that sense of gratitude. And not only taking in consideration that sense of gratitude, but also the ability to actually be open and share with others. This is a picture of a cup that's actually overflowing, right? It's full, it's prosperous, and it's not having that grubby energy of this is mine, 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 but being open to share as well. Because a lot of what we've been given, whether spiritual, mental, or physical, was not only given for us, but it's great and full many times when it's prosperous so that it can be shared, right? That's the true nature of prosperity, the ability to share. It's not about accumulating things for yourself. It's more about the feeling behind it. What's happening within your heart as you are accumulating these things? Do you understand the deeper purpose of why you've been given these things? And so I feel like great and full brings in that energy. It's inviting you to surrender to that important truth. There's always enough for you. So much so that you may find yourself in a position to share, right? And if it's not talking about things, it could be talking about understanding there's enough time, right? We're talking about waiting, right? Maybe sometimes 20 to 30 years, but still understanding there's enough time to do the things that you need and desire to do. There's enough opportunities, right, to express your talents and to connect to your purpose, whatever that turns out to be. And there's enough of this energy, this magic that's going around, that's circulating, that's enough to bring the invisible into the visible. And so begin your day. This is ushering you into the energy of beginning your day in gratitude for everything you have and everything that you're yet to see. Right? Everything you're yet to see. Even your breath, right? You can't see your breath, but you take it every second of the day. You're taking breaths. And so know that you are enough. Know that all your needs are being fulfilled. Even if you find yourself in doubt in some moments, right? Yeah. And as it pertains to, I brought up the energy of the Joneses, right? I feel like Spirit is hitting on that as well. Spirit is saying that, no one else's success can make you feel small. Understand that. And the energy of comparing yourself to others, it doesn't work. That's not meant for you. And so you're being called in this moment to understand that your life, specifically your life, is actually overflowing. It's brimming with unique potential. And you're being called to specifically focus on that. Focus on that. And so talking about this feeling of gratitude, it actually acts as like if I can say, a magical open sesame, right, to the floodgates of abundance, to the floodgates of heaven. And then you couple that with a playful sense of detachment, and then next thing you know, you'll find like that things are just flowing to you, just, without you even realizing it. And they're just showing up in your life abundantly. Right? And so it's almost like the energy of intentions, the intention of receiving, of knowing, and of being, your intentions birth forced into reality with very little effort when you find the science of this, right? This sense of gratitude and this detachment, And so, not that this is always going to be easy. I'm not saying that. And it's okay that you may find yourself in this sense of distrust every once in a while. It's not just you, it's all of us, right? We're all holding a candle high for this type of transformation. And so, but right now you're being called to really think deeply how being in the energy of enough makes you feel. Think deeply about that, even right now, how being in that energy of knowing that you have enough time, enough space, enough energy, enough creativity, enough money, how does that make you feel? Get in the practice of just being in that energy. Eventually, you'll find that you don't have attachments to what you do or do not bring into fruition into the material world, or what you do or do not have at this point in life. And then next thing you know, when you turn around, you just have more than enough. That's the way the universe works. That's the way the law of manifestation works. And that's the energy that Great and Full is bringing in right now. All right. And then on the last one, we have a deep breath. A deep breath. I hope you can see that. I know the light kind of washes. I hope you can see that. I know the light washes out the color of the cards. And then a deep breath brings in the energy of genuinely expecting, for complications to come in or some type of projection of threat, without confirmation of it. It's like fight or flight mode, or the inability to focus, trusting in the universe or God, even as you experience these moments during this process, taking a deep breath. It's almost like the confrontation of self in many ways. Fear is a very real part of our experience. I wish I could say that it wasn't, but it is. But when we feel fear, it's understanding what's happening there. Fear is asking for attention, for your attention. Sometimes it's asking for healing, right, in that moment. And this could be someone kind of in that energy right now, as this moment, as you're watching this video. Someone could be operating from that position. Someone could be seeing red flags. You might be headed, towards genuine danger, perhaps repeating a lesson that you don't actually need to learn again. And when you're confronted with this, you can actually honor this kind of fear by saying, thank you, but no thank you, and protecting yourself by choosing another path once you come to this realization. I feel like this is pointing back to the Metal King and the energy of Saturn, being able to set up boundaries in some type of way for protection and for a guaranteed success on the path, right? Without unnecessary distractions or diversions, right? And all it takes is a shift in the moment when you realize that. On one hand, that could be what's being experienced. On the other hand, fear could be surrounding the idea of, doing something different or taking a risk. Yeah. And it's being mindful of that, not denying it, but confronting it, confronting what's happening. And then it's the radical trust and accepting that discomfort in that moment, that there is something new that is calling for you as you move out of your comfort zone. That's also an experience of fear that could be currently in place right now. And so there's possibly a need to just simply reach out to your support, your spiritual support, and ask for the courage to take that leap into the unknown, and ask for assurance that all will be well. And to know in your heart of hearts that all will be well. But that doesn't mean that it's going to be everything that you've come to expect, but just understanding that all will be well. And there could be many things that's causing this fear to arise in this time. It could be stories from the past that could be, in fact, trying to mold your expectations in this moment and causing like a fear based on expectation of hurts that have been molded from the past. But you're being asked not to fall away or isolate yourself, or even believe that life is too painful and engaging should with anyone else, or not connecting is the only option. Because for who I'm talking about here, that's exactly what we're talking about. We're talking about connection. Yeah. Despite what has happened until now. And so you're being called in this time to really just love that part of you that's feeling afraid, or that could be acting out. However you act out that fear, right? Could be causing unnecessary commotion. It's understanding this calling that's brewing in your heart is a way for you to experience or arrive at this level of fulfillment. It's been planted in your heart for that very reason. And so allowing this fear and not confronting it is actually going to prevent you from being happy, is what I hear Spirit saying. So now is the time to really be gentle with yourself and with others, right? It's really a time to just let go, relax into your life, right? And everything will begin to look brighter if you're able to do that. And friendlier as well. You're being guided to choose love over fear. Choose love over fear here. Let's see. I did pull some tarot cards just to get possibly some more energies here. Let's pull out our tarot cards. And so for the first tarot card, I pulled the Seven of Cups. Beautiful card. So the Seven of Cups talks about soul work, right? This is not superficial things. This is deep soul work. Receiving this card, there could be some feelings of some type of separation or stagnation, even possibly depression. Since we are talking about connection here, this card brings in the feeling of some type of disconnection or isolation, and the soul possibly reaching out in some type of way. There's could be like a distraction of a need to attain material possessions or gain. And I feel like the heart in this card could be feeling some sense of not being fulfilled. and possibly feeling a sense of being drained as well. And so this talks about the reaction to that feeling. There's many different ways that we can reach out to kind of refill our cup when we come to that point where we feel drained and empty, right? Sometimes pacifying what feels like an empty heart is it could be with checking out through alcohol, through drugs, through eating, through watching TV, or even overworking, things that would take our mind off of the true reality of what it is, or even take our mind off of our true purpose. And so the key to the Seven of Cups is this deep soul work that brings in balance to your inner and outer values. It brings in a level of balance there. And there's the need to become aware of your conditioned patterns, right? And that's many times is dealing with the subconscious, and it's leading to get in touch with your higher self and to do this reevaluation of your values and your beliefs and what that means in your present position. And that may very well, I feel like a lot of people have come to discover their soul purpose through this process. And this alludes to a need to release any unsupportive beliefs or patterns and to really integrate our soul self in the material world. And also align with the universal law of perpetual transmutation of energy. It's taking the feelings that are the feeling of being bankrupt and actually transmuting that into the reality of what it is that you are abundant, right? It's transmuting that into reality, transmuting that energy. And it's understanding too that you do have the ability to change the conditions. It's a matter of reaching or connecting with higher vibrations of light, however you would do that, right? There's a gift that the Seven of Cups brings, and it's the gift of creative imagination being brought into reality. And this comes by having clarity of who you really are, your true self, and your soul purpose, right? And again, there's lots of directions and choices that could come in to try to feel that work that's being called here to find yourself and discover your true purpose. There are many things and directions that could come in to try to distract from the true path of your purpose, and that would possibly lead you off course. But the lesson of the Seven Cups, even if you do feel yourself in that energy of separation or stagnation or depression, the lesson of the Seven of Cups is to remember your purpose, remember your dharma, remember your true path. There's this struggle that's happening between the higher self and the ego, right? Between spirit and matter. And this card signals like escapism or emotional overload, but it also alludes to the choices and that come as a result of being in this energy. The energy of the heart being unhappy and seeking some type of reconnection with spirit. There's a yearning to rejoin, with the oneness that at some point was forgotten or ignored. It's the need for deep soul work and to examine like what it is that you're choosing. Are you choosing wisdom and love? Or are you choosing like other things that would align to a material sense of gratitude in the world, in the material? And so this card actually is calling to know thyself and to love thyself from the deepest parts of your being. It's calling to find and attain your life purpose. Yeah. And so I have that energy here coming out. So from the heart calls this deep sense of recognition in your soul that there's work to be done. There's work to be done. Yeah. And then we have the Hermit. And the Seven of Cups, going back to my previous tarot card, doesn't mean that that has to be the current situation. This could be a process that you have already gone through. This could have been what had caused you to be where you are right now. The Hermit brings in the guiding light. As you can see in this picture, he's actually holding a lamp. And so sometimes there are times in life where we experience like a restlessness or like an inner calling that actually calls us, or it motivates us to withdraw from the outer world to seek just quiet time, private time for introspection. It also could be like a yearning or a desire to physically take a journey or to explore like a deeper meaning in life. Sometimes life will put you in that place where you're forced to find deeper understanding of what true inner happiness means. Well, this card brings you to that point where you're searching for answers. The Hermit is someone, it's the one who steps out of the darkness, shining his lantern, showing the way, right? The Hermit alludes to the spiritual energy. And it's represented with the number 9 as well, which talks about completion, breakthrough, or initiation. And the Hermit represents that inner guiding light within our heart. It is the way shower, right? Bringing some type of spiritual wisdom down. Yeah. When you get in that energy where you're seeking guidance or healing or some type of understanding, the Hermit is that energy. The Hermit is the wise one, the guide that's kind of helping you along the way, your journey, as you recognize the deeper values of life. And so coming from this Seven of Cups, you go into this energy of seeking this deeper understanding of life and the value that it holds. And once you get that understanding or that level of the need to seek, there's this guiding light that the Hermit represents that actually guides you through the next step. It's through the dreams, the visions, the archetypes. Even, angels or spirit guides or teachers. It's almost like, how in every story of the hero, there's a quest that the hero goes on and they end up meeting that one teacher, right? Who is actually some type of hermit. They're withdrawn from society in some type of way that ends up being like the hero's greatest teacher and guiding him on the path of enlightenment or spiritual understanding. And then from there, he attains like a true meaning of life that he didn't have before. It's like that kind of energy. So don't take this as a bad thing, right? This is a learning experience. This is a completion. This is a breakthrough. This is an initiation that I'm seeing here. And so the hermit is bringing that kind of energy. And the type of lessons that the hermit offers are, around love. It's around appreciation for simplicity. It's around respect for self and freedom from the material world. It's freedom from form. The hermit teaches spiritual wisdom at a heart level. And though we all may be on very different paths, when it comes to a heart level, the destination is the same. And for each of us, this journey must be taken alone to truly understand what self-love is and what living it means. The outside world serves as a teacher that stretches our understanding or our consciousness and brings us to this point, right? It brings us to this point of seeking this level of experience, this level of understanding, this level of learning, where now you're able to understand as the light is being shown to you in your heart, in your spiritual being. And when it's all said and done, the journey is about returning to yourself. That's where all of your answers lie. It sounds easy, but doing the work sometimes feels like a treasure hunt, And there are set points of that where you end up in the dark and not knowing. And so the hermit is really about guiding you and assisting you through uncertain times or dark times of questioning, life in general. There's like a teaching that happens in this moment in time of guiding you back to trust or faith or trust in the heart, and there's the energy of guiding you to this energy of staying focused on your inner journey, not on the outside, but this is really a time to be introspected and paying attention to how you're integrating with the outer world. So it's going back to that third house energy, that energy of connection. And so this is a time of really being encouraged to listen. Not only to listen, but also to strive to understand that restlessness within. Rather than trying to fulfill like emotional needs with material fixes, right? Reaching for all of those distractions that will lead you further away from your path. Rather than trying to fulfill emotionally, you're being asked to meditate. You're being asked to pray. You're being asked to connect with nature, right? To introspect and to embrace solitude. It's through these practices that you're able to actually open your heart space and get in touch with your soul self and your purpose. It's almost like tending to your spiritual garden, and allowing it to transform your life to a higher spiritual understanding of yourself, seeing yourself in a more spiritual way. And it's through that process that that restlessness inside is quieted. And it's also understanding that life provides this cycle, right? It's a cycle. And there's nothing wrong with this place in your life. There's nothing wrong with you here. Life is a cycle. And there's going to be times when the light seems a little bit dimmer, and also when it shines brighter. And the hermit is reminding us of that. That in that time of need, that's when you focus on your inner light, especially if it appears far away. And so with the hermit, that's the energy being brought in here. It's discovery. It's spiritual self. It's spiritual beliefs. And it's just basically enjoying and appreciating simplicity. One of my favorite words, simplicity, right? The most beautiful, the most enjoyous things in life are free. It's simplicity. And then we have the Four of Pentacles. And the Four of Pentacles brings in personal power and new vision. This is raising the veil or parting the veil and seeing between spirit and matter. It's a time of going beyond limitations and just the regular mundane experiences of day-to-day life. This is discovering and expanding vision and actually into creation. Finding your personal power and new vision. So the key to the Four of Pentacles is really, the four talks about foundations, the number four. And this is really creating foundational solidity that's built within spiritual and emotional boundaries that would allow for the intellect to explore and dream. This is really a gift. The Four of Pentacles brings a gift of discovering your personal power to actually push towards your true path, and also to allow your imagination to soar and to explore. That would actually bring in this new level of insight and inspiration. Yeah, it brings stability. It brings structure. As you can see, it's like a stone hedge almost is what I'm getting. It's like a stone frame, very stable structure. It brings in the energy of security. So I feel like you're at a place where there could be organizational abilities and work skills that may have brought you some type of material wealth within the world. And the Four of Pentacles, the four actually calls to the energy of withdrawal and re-examination of foundations and boundaries that were created around that. And then this is also considering like how to move forward towards new manifestations as well. And so if you don't currently, this almost feels like the energy of retirement, right? Building a foundation somewhere where you'll eventually be able to retire. If you don't have one, it's calling you to create one, to create some type of foundation where you'll have a private, comfortable space to retire, something sure, something stable. Metaphorically, it could symbolize a time to purify your life or to cleanse physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually as well. It's almost like creating like this pure, pristine sanctuary to kind of channel these new inspirations for the future, right? It's like a rehaul, an overhaul is what I'm getting. And in this place, this is where you can actually reconnect, right, to your soul self and discover like personal powers that you haven't tapped into yet, or even experience the value of the inner wealth that you hold, both material and inner wealth, right? Abundance. We're talking about abundance here, which is not just money. It's not just things, but abundance is overall. It's mental, spiritual, it's physical, it's emotional, it's spiritual, right? It's overall abundance. And so I feel like this is the energy that's being called in, is to create a space. Not necessarily for retirement, but we're talking spiritual, we're talking heart work here, to create a space with purpose, right? Create a space with purpose is what I'm hearing. I guess it could be material too. I'm hearing that. But it's more, I feel like it's more spiritual too. But it's creating a space with purpose. I keep hearing that. But it's a balance between the two, right? The physical brings a sense of security and kind of like this solid foundation to create your dreams, right? But the inner brings like the fulfillment within your heart or spiritually. It's almost like the energies channeling from the divine, from the creator, from God, from source, from Allah. In this place, there's like a sanctuary, a spiritual sanctuary, and you are like the vessel that these inspired visions or expansion that it's being, or a transformation, it's being channeled through you. And so this may very well, I feel like now that I'm going a little deeper, this is talking about your body, right? But it could also be talking about create a space in the world, but this is almost has a feeling of like you being the vessel, this pristine sanctuary, right? Mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. And so this is a space where your visions can unfold into form and where your personal power is acknowledged and activated and enforced, right? And it's coming to a moment where you have balanced both parts of your life, the physical and the spiritual, into this energy of sanctuary for yourself. And it's realizing at the moment that you have actually become the living epistle, right, of your principles, of what it is that you stand for, of what you live for, of your purpose, right? It's like the realization of that in the flesh, in your being, right? And so this energy, the Four of Pentacles, does bring the energy of success and stability and security. I feel like it could be outwardly or inwardly, but it's talking about stable foundations. And it talks about a new beginning of putting your ideas into motion, right? Talking about that third house energy. It also talks about reevaluation taking place of your present values and your goals. And, you know, if there's a need to remap things, it gives an opportunity to do that. And so you could be holding on to an idea. You could be holding on to a person. You could be holding on to a situation or some type of possession or even a job that's outdated and worn out, and it needs to go, right? It needs to be transformed to align with where you've been brought to right now at this point in time. This represents spiritual expansion by understanding the difference between inner and outer wealth, or the energy of abundance, right? It also brings the energy, Four of Pentacles brings the energy of a sabbatical, just taking a moment to pull away for greater expansion, pull away to invest in something greater, right? But most of all, it's talking about the power lying within you, right? It brings in this shift of energy to transform the old to the new. Yeah. There's this invocation between the subconscious and the conscious to really explore yourself and your dreams and your purpose in life. And so that's what the Four of Pentacles is bringing to the reading, which is very much in line here as well. And as we come to our last couple of cards, we have the Two of Swords. So swords is air energy. Swords bring mental energy is what the swords bring. And the two actually is representative of decisions, right? The Four of Pentacles did bring out a little bit of that energy. Choices being made, realizing what has been outdated in your current stance, right? What may possibly need to be transformed to align with your current principles. And so the Two of Swords is also talking about that. It's coming to a crossroads. It's personal power crossed with truth, right? And so there's a search for your true self and your personal power here. It's almost like the intellect and the heart are trying to find like a peaceful balance. And sometimes what's in the heart, what's felt in the heart, don't always match up with what is intellectually being seen, right? And so in that moment, you may find like a feeling where the mind and the heart are torn, and there's like a lack of peace with that knowing. You may very well still be going through the daily motions, right, of life, but feeling unsettled. There's this inner conflict that's growing, and there's a need to really get quiet, to get still in the mind, and kind of allow your intuitive feelings through your heart to actually speak its truth over what your mind is, saying, that mental clamor, that mental chatter, right? There's a need to get quiet and allow your heart to speak over what your mind is chattering. Because in this point in time, there's a wisdom that only the heart can offer. There's a wisdom that the heart will come in and clarify to the mind, right? Needed to bring some type of right choice or action as you move forward on your journey. I guess the challenge here would be learning how to really see and judge with the mind while also listening to the wisdom of the heart. There's like a balance that's needed here. And so this card brings a gift of being able to speak your truth from a place of balance and power, though. It's speaking from a specific place that allows your mind and your heart to coincide and result in this balance between the two, not being totally emotionally driven or heart driven, not being mentally overwhelmed or intellectually driven. There's a balance between the knowing and the feeling, because the mind is egoic, right? It's actively exploring and trying to sort out life's experiences and judging what's useful, what's not. It's longing for, like, oneness, right? But the mind also sees two sides to everything. So there's a sense of confusion that happens. Solutions always seem black or white, with no common ground or alternative perspective, right? And so the mind, when it gets overworked, it struggles to find the balance with the emotional heart, which represents the soul, right? And so this confusion or this squandering brings this level of indecision or this growing contention from within. It could lead to denial. It could also lead to blockages within your body. It could lead to procrastination or suppression of things that need to be expressed. And fear, we were talking about fear, right? When that rises out of this place of contention, then we begin to separate from our personal power. And that's when we need to actually balance the polarities of the heart and the mind and merge the wisdom of both, right? Yeah. And so if you are dealing with this current sense of conflict within the mind and the heart, there's opportunity for balance here, which will also present this growth or this expansion, right? The past is gone. There's nothing we can do about that, but the future is yet to be created. And when we live in the present and we let go of all of the what ifs or shoulda, coulda, wouldas, right, then we begin to flow in the moment that aligns with our personal power. So this Two of Swords actually, this signifies a pulling back or a withdrawing from these energies of conflict or problems or distractions surrounding you. It's almost like that pulling in for introspection, excuse me. And so in times like this, where you have that inner sense of conflict rising up, meditation or taking time out to kind of settle the emotions and the racing of the mind is possibly good. Meditation or praying, so that you don't end up going over and over and over, the different facets of the situation without being able to really arise at a solution, right? And so there's possibly a decision or a choice that needs to be made right now. And you could be avoiding it. Yeah, so the Two of Swords brings this level of truths or reconciliation manifested through the heart and the mind, or the soul and the ego, right? And it's touching on your core values, and it assists in that reconnection there with those personal powers, the personal values, your inherent wisdom. And so that's what the Two of Swords is bringing in, that alignment within your heart and your mind, and bringing to the forefront all of the answers that you need are actually within yourself. Lastly, we have the Princess of Pentacles. The Princess of Pentacles. And with the Princess of Pentacles, we have the blessings coming through life and healing, right? I feel like this could very much be also through creativity and this quiet, observant energy with intuitive wisdom. Like, not everything that is real is actually able to be seen. As she brings this very quiet level of intuitive wisdom, right? She actually lives, as you look, everything seems really busy around her, very, very colorful and vibrant. And so she actually has a space in the world that represents creativity. It represents a level of this very magical energy of manifestation. The Princess of Pentacles is very in tuned and tapped in with her subconscious and with her dreams. I feel like this is the energy. If you're not in this energy yet, this is the energy to come. There's a deep appreciation here, a deep love and a respect and a connection with nature. There is in this energy a very connected appreciation with simplicity, with ordinary life. She has the ability to actually pass through the veil of earthly realms and then bring back like lessons from earth. Like, she's able to pull out just simple lessons through her connection with earth. And I almost feel like it's like the energy of taking practical things and seeing lessons in them, right? There's a level of teaching here. And she represents this energy of channeling and transformation through earth, through connection. Very intuitive energy here, very gifted. This brings the energy of healing. Could possibly be like healing through plant medicine as well, and through purification of the body. And so on the other end of all of these processes is this coming into this opportunity to experience, this opportunity to evolve and to actually create a divine, what do I want to call it? This divine magic in the physical, right? And so it's really taking the mundane, simplistic things and realizing the beauty and the magic that exists in them. It's finding the gift of life and the blessing in everyday living. Yeah, she brings this very gentle awakening to the soul self and into consciousness, right? And it's in reminder of messaging and visions that would come, in this very dreamy state. Very connected to her source, right? Very inspiring, very nurturing, right? It's very attractive energy. As you can see in this picture, like all of the animals are like assumed position by her side. Very attractive energy. She's attracting and manifesting it, through the spiritual environment, this very healing and blessed energy in the earth. Not only to people, but as you can see, even to creation as well, to animals as well. I feel like this is a very pure sense of connection to everything around you. Yeah, walking in this level of peace and being at one, even with the earth itself. And so I almost get like fairy energy as well. I do see a couple little fairies here, but it's almost like that energy, like having this very magical existence in the earth. And so the princess actually represents the page energy. So it's like an exploration. It's like a beginning level of learning, right? It's coming into what has always been and becoming aware of it, of the knowledge, the senses that you have. It's expanding and developing the abilities that you hold. And in this particular, the Princess of Pentacles energy, there's almost like a strong platform to explore and to enjoy that process of bringing into fruition the dreams and the visions that you could have. So all of the princesses and princes, they have this innate awareness of their inner child. And there is a freeness to speak, of the innocence and the sensations and emotions and basic drives that exist within us, right? It's almost like that child running about, just enjoying and exploring life with no expectations, no preconceived notions, just enjoying. And so I feel like this energy is asking to have an open heart, to allow yourself to feel the magic that life has to offer, right? To awaken to the star energy that is within you. There could be a level of remembering happening too. You know how there's that sense of pureness as you are young and innocent before your consciousness is clouded with the influences of society. It's going back to that energy, that inner child space that was at one time very creative and very explorative, wanting to touch and feel everything and explore everything and just live life fully. It's being called back to that energy with this very pure sense of faith as well. A child believes, in Santa, the tooth fairy, the Easter eggs. They have this very pure sense of belief that miracles can happen in life. And you just have to be attentive to it, And so it's that kind of energy that the Princess of Pentacles brings here through these processes of the heart. Yeah. And so I feel like the Princess of Pentacles is really the good news at the end of all of the processes that are happening within your heart. It's like the announcement of a beginning of new opportunities or projects or, solid connections or jobs or ventures that are at your disposal. Yeah. And so this is the announcement of this new door that's opening for a new type of experience to be had moving forward here. And it's stepping into that, stepping into the idealization of that or the awareness of that. And so overall, she brings the time to really appreciate everything in your environment, everything that is subject to where you are right now. She brings a time to really take advantage of spaces where you're able to get quiet and be in nature and listen to the messages that are being brought forth there. In essence, bringing this energy of peace, healing, and balance, right? Within the heart space, as she's holding her heart. And she's pregnant, not with a baby, but I feel like this is within the energy of divine light. Like there's a star of divine light that's there in her womb, waiting to be birthed. Yeah. All of the possibilities and miracles waiting to be birthed. And so that's the energy that I'm getting from my second heart reading. I know it was long, we're going on 2 hours, but I hope something was said to inspire you as you are experiencing life at this moment in time. And as it's all said and done, there's so much at the end of all of this that's waiting on the other side of this process that's happening within your heart. And so, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and step away. Thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate you. If you find my readings, if you find that they resonate, let me know by liking, sharing, commenting. If you want to support the channel, you could always book a reading if you choose to. If you feel called to, you could always donate as well. All forms of love are appreciated. And again, thank you for allowing me to speak into your life. I do not take it lightly. I appreciate each and every one of you that stops by to lend an ear. So until next time, again, it's been Letty, also known as Sunfire 369, signing off after this very specific heart message, part 2. Right? If you didn't catch part 1, that one is available as well. You're more than welcome to go back and listen to that one. So until next time, take care of your heart.